All right, pleasant good afternoon. John Walk, Dan Morgan, Lone Star Christian Sports Network. We are here at Tappscon 2024. We're in the afternoon of, day one. Athletically, day two. Fine Arts was yesterday. And joining us is the athletic director at Lake Jackson, Brazosport Christian, Robby. And, when you walked up there, and it looks like Crihfield, but it's Crihfield.
That's what my parents tell me.
And you are going to deliver kind of the breakfast message tomorrow, talking about your new book, and the lighting doesn't get it. It's called 10 Lies and the Truth. Tell me, I've started, I'm almost through, I'm here. But share with the, kind of vision and how this all came about. What it's about. Tell people what it's about, and how and why and everything.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for having me on here. This is cool. This is exciting. And thanks for getting the book and reading through it, man. I'm excited to hear what you think about it. You already told me a little bit about it, and it's a lot of fun for me. So, essentially, this book was born from a real big change in my life about 6 years ago, where God God really turned me from the inside out, and just changed my nature and gave me a pursuit for truth, really, and then wisdom and knowledge, and I had no clue really where to turn for that. So I started reading all these books, which I hated to read, by the way. And then it seemed like overnight find out as much as I can find out. And so then over the course of about, I'd say probably 3 or 4 years, I started reading these authors like Jordan Peterson, Jocko Willink, Simon Sinek, these professional and personal growth gurus, and a lot of different pastors from the Reformed camp, Charles Spurgeon and R.C. Sproul, and a little bit of John Calvin from way back in the days. And it's essentially what I noticed is that these truths and these principles and these virtues that these men who wouldn't necessarily profess Christianity, Jesus says we can see them from their fruits that they bear. So my guess is that some of these guys probably are Christians.
Sure.
They just don't proclaim it, as big as you would want them to. But we see that these virtues match up almost verbatim with what we learn from Jesus and Paul in the New Testament. And I thought that was wild. I was like, here are these men that are helping people be successful and live purpose-driven lives and live full lives, and the things that they preach, they're taking, whether coherently or incoherently, from a biblical worldview. So that's kind of what this idea was born out of. I was like, I want to really dive into it. I noticed it, and I was like, let's research it, let's look at it. And so I did. And after a couple years into that journey, this book started to come about, and my wife told me I should write it. I wanted to write it for my kids, my 2 little ones, so that way when they get older, they would have kind of a little bit of a guide through some of the stuff that I went through, and maybe they wouldn't fall into the same traps and pitfalls. So essentially, it was just 10 lies that I listened to our culture and our society. I listened to them say about us and about me, and then I eventually ended up saying them about myself, and then found out that the Bible refutes those lies with an open hand, and then so do these other guys. And then really, so these, and this is just 10 of them.
Right.
But I think I could do a couple more books about it, which I might do, because man, the Bible is ever changing. It's so life changing. And so that's kind of what happened there. And then our athletic department kind of adopted it. I say kind of. I'm the athletic director, so the athletic department really adopted these principles with our kids and our coaches. And in the last 4 years specifically, it has transformed our athletic department from the bottom up, and it's, well, technically from the top down, but it's wild, man. It's a lot of fun.
Well, one of the things I appreciated is, you were vulnerable. You were sitting here saying, that you were going down this path. Yes, you're a believer, but you were not really where you desire to be as a born-again Christian, following the will of God, seeking his leadership out on a day in and day out basis. And, but it allows for, even for somebody like myself to go, hey, well, I thought I was the only one struggling.
Right.
Here's a young man who is athletic director at a Christian school, and he's sitting here 6 years ago going, man, I was moving down a path to where, and so it's like, I think if we pick up something like this, then we see it's like we're not the only one that are struggling with things.
Yeah.
And there may be things that that I pick up. I mean, here, just, you're kind of recapping and moving towards the end, and, it's just sacrifice. It's like I have a 29-year-old daughter who's in education, but just from a life standpoint, it's like, hey, it's our job to, to give. And, is the world going to treat us badly? Yeah. Speaking to sacrifice, was what you referenced there in chapter, start of chapter 9.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think that no matter where somebody is on their walk of faith, can glean from this.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the hope. Like I said, I essentially wrote it for my 2 children when they get older. But then I let my brother and a couple other dads from our school read the first chapter, and they were like, "Dude, you need to let this be available for all of the kids." And I was like, "Okay, so for kids." So then I started kind of thinking about like that. Like there's so many different walks of life between young adults, kids, and then older, more mature Christians as well. That you said. Like the gospel is not for just new believers.
Right.
The gospel is for everybody all the way through from the beginning until the end. And that was kind of the thought process behind that, is that it's never too late to pick that up, to pick that book up, to pick some other book up and learn something and develop and better yourself, because if you're not dead, you have room to grow.
Right. So tell us a little bit about Lake Jackson Brazosport Christian. I mean, I know a little bit, but if somebody is going through our YouTube videos and they see, what would be the first thing that you would tell folks about Brazosport Christian?
Yeah, so Brazosport Christian is Lake Jackson. It's an hour south of Houston, and we're going into 2A TAPS now. So we've got about 400 students from pre-K all the way through 12, and it is a Christian private school. And it is a gospel-centered, kingdom-first education. And all of our parents know that going into it, and all of our teachers know that. So while athletics has boomed in a miraculous way, we're just come off of our 4th straight track and field state championship. And it has boomed in a big way. Everybody there knows, the teachers especially know, that they are completely supported by us. And hey, if the kids aren't handling themselves in the classroom, I don't care if it's a state championship or not, they're not playing. Yeah. And it's a very unique school. And I know a lot of our Christian private schools are like that, but this one I can speak to personally because I'm there.
Right.
From the very head of school all the way down, it is like-minded people who are putting the gospel first in front of their profession of education or coaching or teaching. And like one of the favorite things that our head of school, Skylar Sykes, does is he prioritizes rest and the Sabbath. That's something that no athletic director, no athletic director ever told me that growing up in this profession, is that no, you have to rest. Mm-hmm. You need to take a break. You need to go home. You need to whatever. They were like, no, that's the job. We put in 70 hours a week. That's right. What's expected of you. Well, he says that's not expected of you, because biblically speaking, that's not expected of you. Even God rested, you need to rest.
Right.
So that's kind of the mantra of our school, is to spend time with Jesus, do all things in excellence, and prioritize time with your family and, and time for the Sabbath, which is awesome.
You're in a physical location. Is that, your closest faith-based school was what, Livingstone's and Alvin, and they're just dropping high school.
They're just dropping high school. We have Angleton Christian, which is about 10 or 12 minutes away, and they're coming up. They just joined TAPS, and they'll be a 1A school. But I think they're, as far as terms of kids there, I think they're very similar to us. I think they have around 400 kids or something. They just got a new head of school too. He used to be the athletic director. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Outside of that, no. The next closest one is Galveston, maybe, or Pasadena.
So basically, if you've got a believer in that, whether or not they have been exposed yet or not to Christian education, you're kind of in that part of the world, you're the biggest option for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've seen that play out in the last 3 years. I think 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we had 140 kids. And now we'll start August over 400.
Wow, that's great. That's incredible
it's
growth.
happened very quick, yeah.
So go ahead, Dan, were you going to jump in? What are growth plans? What's in the future for you?
Yeah, great question. So
that's what you get asked every day by your leadership,
right,
yes?
That's why I get paid a little bit more than everybody else. Growth plans for us is we are the land that we are on right now, we do not own. A church rents it to us for like $1 a year, and it's a lifetime contract, so it's never going to go away. But we are running out of room and we don't want to build on that land. So right now our board is looking into, they've got a couple different plots that they're looking at surveying right now to try to figure out what we can do to purchase something to go build out there. And to my surprise, they told me that the first thing they want to build is an athletic complex. So,
Well, no complaints about that, right?
Right, yeah. So it won't surprise me if we're in 2A for just one alignment, and then we go 3A. That would be no shock to me at all.
I'm scrolling here just to find out. I'm not fully in the mix of football yet.
So we play 6-man football.
No, I know you play 6-man. That I know. I'm just trying to look and see with the most recent realignment where you guys landed at. You're in with Divine Savior, Baytown, and O'Connell.
It's very favorable for us.
Travel, yes.
For travel too, but even competitively speaking, we're not gonna. We loaded up our non-district schedule as Divine Savior's athletic director right there, and he's a good friend of mine too. And man, they're going to be good. That's the game. We have them last on our district schedule. We lucked out with that draw because that's going to be the championship game, I think.
Okay.
But no, it's a very favorable travel schedule and favorable competitive-wise, and we loaded up. We're playing Pasadena early on. We're playing Emory early on, and for Fort Bend, Sugar Land. Okay. So we loaded up our non-district schedule because we know we've got a couple teams that are we're probably gonna let our JV kids play outside of Divine Savior. we're gonna try to beat them by 100 if we can.
Yeah, I mean in that District 5, St. Joe had a really good year last year, but they've changed coaches, so we'll see if Alec went to Hearn.
Yeah, he was good.
And then
he's a good dude.
Second Baptist University Model had a good season. Founders kind of had a surprising good season.
Founders did too. Founders and Second Baptist are coming up. They're on our radar.
But the Baker's boy and the Jones boy, they're graduating, so that's going to be
But they're growing too as a school.
Yeah, and those folks we've gotten to be pretty good friends with Dan and Joe over there, and because they're like 2 miles from where I live.
Oh, nice.
So it sounds like exciting times. What am I missing,
Coach? How do people get their hands on your book?
Yeah, good call. So this is available on Amazon. So you just Amazon search 10 Lies and the Truth, and it's going to be one of the top 3 or 4. That's one of the reasons why I picked that name. I was looking for something that, something that people could find easily. That's not, they won't have to scroll through and look for my name. So you don't have to know my name. You can just Google it, and it'll pop up on Amazon. I think it's $14.99 right now.
Yep.
And it's a short read, and I did that on purpose because if you're anything like me or like a young adult, reading big books and big chapters are tough. So it's about 10 pages per chapter. You can knock it out in about 10 minutes, and then you can kind of knock it one out per day maybe and try to think about it through the day. And that's what we do with our athletes. We're trying to build it into some kind of a devotional discipleship program that we can kind of knock something out. Like 1 week we're going to just focus on this chapter, So that's the next thing coming out is I'm going to have a hopefully by the end of the year, I'm going to have a discipleship platform and practicum that they can use, that coaches can use with this kind of stuff.
That's nice.
Yep.
We'll definitely post a link on our Twitter. And,
when we share
the video,
when we share the video, we'll include a link for the book and everything.
No, that'd be great, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's anytime I see anything from a private school standpoint, like one of the guys in our private school Hall of Fame. Central Catholic coach, 1-800-WINS, Joe Cortez, but somebody wrote a book on him, so I've got that. So no, it's just we definitely want to support private school athletics and those people that are involved in it and what they're doing. So no, I absolutely glad that. And like I said, and again, it's just a reminder as a believer that it's very easy to get off of the path that you need to be on.
Yep.
And you share a lot of things in there that. Are very, you sit there and you go, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. I did that for about 6 years straight. Like, oh, he's right. Oh, he's right. Oh, he's right. I'm still doing it, man. Still every other day.
All right. Well, again, we've been joined with Dan. Anything more? So we've been joined by Robby Crihfield, again, the author of 10 Lies and the Truth, the athletic director at Lake Jackson Brazosport Christian School. And, again, he's going to be the breakfast speaker tomorrow morning here at Tappscon. Robby, thank you very much for taking the time to stop and visit with us, and we look forward to seeing you down the road.
Definitely.
All right, thank you.